Hello and welcome to the Pink Hair Girl podcast. I have absolutely no idea which number episode this is. Probably because it is such a long time since I last podcast that I've completely lost track of where I am. And I could probably go and look it up. And I will when I list it. I'll put the correct episode number up. But I kind of just wanted to get started before I chickened out and then didn't do this. Somebody on Instagram, wait, I wrote it down. I think it's Tahira. I think that's how you say it. I'm probably not saying that right. But Tahira on Instagram asked me if I was going to be podcasting again. And I said, yes, I really did want to. And then I said for her to bug me that I was planning to do it last week and for her to remind me if I didn't. And I didn't quite get my head around it last week, but it has made me feel like I really need to do it this week. So I've kind of just done it and here I am. So yeah. I don't know what to say about why I haven't podcast. I know that you guys really, the struggle is that there is a balance between being real about the things that are happening in your life and just feeling like you are a bit of a mono, right? Like making everyone feel a bit down, really. So, everyone's kind of got their struggles in life, and mine are not particularly big. They just felt a little bit overwhelming to me, I guess. And there aren't any really huge reasons. It's just moving continents with three kids and starting all over again and starting at the bottom, all over again in your 40s financially as well is fairly tough when you come from a country whose currency is a lot weaker than the pound. You lose a lot in getting here. So yeah, it's kind of taken us a little while to get back on our feet. And I think I'm maybe a bit of a warrior, and so I tend to kind of waste an awful lot of energy. I know it's wasted energy on worrying because worrying is, what do they say, investing time and effort on something that may never come to, may never happen. And it feels silly, especially when we're so much more fortunate than most people. We, have a roof over our head, we have enough food and all of these kind of things. So it's just little niggles, and I guess I kind of don't do fight or flight. I seem to just do freeze, like sort of a rabbit in the headlights kind of thing. I just sort of feel like I don't get anything done. Like I don't know. I find not my motivation, just my ability to kind of get anything done. You will sort of see when I show you the quantity of unfinished and sort of half-cast on things. And it always surprises me what an enormous role, and it sounds so stupid, but what an enormous role our mind and our perceptions and stuff can play on our everyday life, really. And I suppose part of it is just getting up and doing it regardless. That's kind of, don't wait until you feel like it, especially when you're not feeling like doing things, because there's a good chance you're just not going to feel like it for a really long time. So I will podcast, and I don't want it to be all depressing or for anyone to feel sorry for me. I possibly just felt a bit overwhelmed by life, and then as weeks went by, it kind of got harder to get into it. And I do a really terrible sort of self-depreciating sort of, I'm not as good as other podcasters out there, I'm not as good as other designers, so I might as well, sometimes it kind of reminds me of like a popularity contest from high school. I wasn't very popular in high school, so And so many of these things are about find your own path and forge your own way and all the rest. And that's really true. So I've kind of had to examine some of the reasons why I sort of say some of the self messages I say, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, in general, things have been good. We really love the UK, so I don't even want you guys to think it's because I'm depressed and I don't want to be here. I really, really enjoy the UK. Everyone's moaned about the summer, but I didn't think it was so bad. My whole family on both sides. I mean, I'm a Cameron, which is an old Scottish clan name. On both sides of my family, they're from Scotland. Got quite a lot of English and Scottish blood, and with that comes very fair skin. So I lived in a country where I had to hide in the shade the majority of the time because, about 3.5 seconds in the sun and I look like a strawberry. So yeah, I quite like the cooler weather. I don't mind it being a little bit grey. And of course, coming from a country that had such a severe drought before we left, and it's still not resolved. People have very, very little water in Cape Town. I am never again going to make any comment when it rains. Okay, give me a few years. Let's talk again in like 5 years' time and it still rained a lot. And let's see if I still feel the same way. But yeah, so it's not England at all. And I'm absolutely loving doing the things here that are kind of seasonal. There are very specific seasonal changes here, which we don't get as stark in South Africa. And I'm loving it. Autumn has been absolutely beautiful, and I kind of even learned this year to think of this whole winter and autumn in a completely new light. And I can't remember who said it. It was somebody on Instagram, and they said, like, instead of thinking of the trees as being bare branches and stark and it all seeming sort of cold and depressed and grey and black and all the rest, as to kind of think of the trees as resting, which is exactly what they're doing in winter, in the cold months, they're resting. And that it was such a reminder to us to take time to rest as well, time to just not run around completely frantically. That said, this time of year seems to be absolutely frantic. My kids don't even go to school, and we seem really busy with weekends and stuff. But for the most part, we've tried to kind of keep that to a minimum and not to kind of do too many things. But we went to the bonfire night and we saw the fireworks and. There are various things going on, and we carved pumpkins, we trick-or-treated and all of these sorts of things, and it was really fun. So I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I absolutely love Christmas. So it'll kind of doing things here and bringing our Christmas traditions with us here and seeing how it all translates in the cold. Of course, there is a sense that Christmas and all of the meals and traditions that go around Christmas make a lot more sense in the cold and the dark and all the rest than they do in the middle of summer in the sweltering heat in South Africa. So yeah, that should be interesting, and I'm looking forward to kind of enjoying that with the children and kind of their experience of having Christmas here. So yeah, no, it's really not all bad. In fact, very little of it is bad. Probably mostly all of it in my head. But I struggled a bit. So I'm just going to try. I'm just going to keep trying to show up in front of the camera and keep trying to record and keep plodding along with my patterns and trying not to compare myself against other people. Just sort of doing things my way and realizing my own limitations. I mean, I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kids. My time is a lot less. I don't always have exactly the same amount of time to maybe do things in a different way, and that's maybe okay. This is just where things are at the moment in life. So I'm sorry, I didn't really mean to blather on about that for 11 minutes because it's a bit boring listening to other people's life stuff. And there are so many of you that have so many more or so much bigger life stuff happening. But I did kind of feel like I sort of owed you some kind of explanation why I fell off the planet. I think that the last time I podcast was possibly when my mom was here in June, July maybe, I don't know, which is a bit slack. I'm sorry. But I have got quite a lot of knitting to show you because it has been so long. Not probably as much as I should have for the length of time that it's been, but my kind of freeze and inability to do anything or finish anything has sort of translated into my crafting as well. But anyway, I did 2 sewing projects, both of which I went to the cupboard to go and haul out this morning, and they really need a good iron. And I'm bad enough at ironing things when I need to wear them, let alone ironing them because I'm not wearing them right now. So I thought I'd rather just include some pictures for you. If you followed my Instagram, then you probably saw them on there. I made a kind of tunic top. Now the pattern was from a magazine, Simplicity, I think. I will include the details on the bottom there. It was a kind of a tunic top with a kind of a different pattern around the neck opening thing. It was supposed to be, there's a kind of a pointy neck opening thing, and then that is supposed to have a facing round it, and then that's supposed to go around the neck as well. The only problem is, I don't know, mine just stood very high, and the neck thing came right up onto my neck here, and I really, really didn't like it. So I actually left that bit off. I actually cut it off, and I just closed the top differently. So I'll put some pictures in. It's not really straight. It's not really my very best sewing attempt. I am not sure quite how you are supposed to. You've got the V bit down on the front, and then you have the other color facing that you put over there, and then you're supposed to sew in a V down and then cut it and turn it through. But if you don't cut it quite close to the stitching, then it puckers. You can't get it to lie flat. But if you cut it close to the stitching, it'll frays through the edge, through. So I'm not sure if I'm missing a trick there as to how that should be done. I will try to include a picture of that bit of the neck, and maybe somebody could tell me what I did wrong. Anyway, after that, I did the Dotty Angel dress, which is a really nice one that a lot of people do in various colors, and I would quite like to do a lot of various different colors for it. But I had a very nice piece of plain linen, a kind of a creamish, not quite cream, because this is sort of more like a, what do you call, like a light browny, beigey, tanny sort of color? Anyway, natural kind of color. And I made the Dotty Angel in one color out of that. And that came out quite well. I did put those on Instagram, but I will put some pictures in here for those that didn't see those. So I did do a bit of sewing. And then I think actually that I podcast so long ago that I hadn't even finished my Winter is Coming Grande shawl, the big one that I did. I know I'd probably finished the black and grey version. So I don't think I'd actually finished the fingering weight version, which the yarn was, of course, very kindly donated by Debbie from down Sheepy Lane. And she sent me 3 different colours to match the sort of the themes of the different sections in the pattern. So I was trying to finish that row, but let me... So I can't believe I actually haven't... I don't think I've shown this on here. So I don't even know if I can get it all in the screen. I'm trying to put it in the middle. So what's different is that the wall, I used a slightly different textured pattern, which you're not really going to be able to see there. Very similar, just slightly different, and I made the wall section bigger. So the wall and the snow is out of one colour that Debbie, and I think I made the snows a little bit different as well. Not drastically. I think I might have made them instead of I think the other one had 5 little things, and I thought maybe it looked a bit more like a flower, so I made this one into sort of 3. It fitted better in the pattern I was doing. Then the waves and the dragon scales was a different colour that Debbie dyed for me because she supplied all the yarn. And then the edging, sorry, there's a real glare. I have a problem that if I put the lights on in this room, they flicker across the screen. And I've drawn this, maybe I should try to draw this line down a little bit more. Don't want to make it too dark, because if it's too dark, then if it's too dark, then it goes pixelated as well, which is not great. Anyway, then the bottom here is the stakes and icicles, and this is one with sparkle in it, which I'm not sure if you can see. Anyway, so it's quite big. So it really is called The Winter is Coming Grande because it really is quite large. And it goes to there, and then it goes all the way across there. It's got about a 3-meter wingspan. So it's a very similar shape, that long shape, as the fingering, the small version, the original version. It is just bigger, longer. So let's see. If you did this out of DK, it would be like hugely big and warm, and you know, if anyone felt so excited. Oh my goodness, what have I done? I've got myself completely tangled up here in hair and alles. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry, there we go. So there you are. And if it's really cold, you can probably even wrap this around underneath again. And then you've got a nice big warm shawl around your neck. Or over your shoulders, or however you like to normally wear your shawls. So this is the Winter is Coming Grande pattern. Right. Try and get that off. I saw somebody did something interesting with a shawl recently. I think it was the, oh sorry, the, my goodness, I've got hair going everywhere. You shouldn't really fix your hair halfway through the program. Sorry. It's a bit of a mess now. Never mind. I saw somebody did something interesting. You know how when you've got a scarf, what some people do is they sort of fold it in half and then put it through each other. So they did that with a shawl. I think it was a Find Your Fade, because I mean Find Your Fade is also really long. So I think they did one of these. You know, you do it in half and then you put this bit through here as another sort of a, you know, way to wear it when you know, like people do when you've got a long rectangular scarf. So, I mean, there are endless ways to wear these. And you can do whatever you like. This would look incredible with a gradient, you know, a long gradient-based yarn with a lot of yardage as well. That was, I did my lace weight out of a grey, black to, very light grey to black gradient as well. So, I mean, that's also an option. So that is the Winter is Coming Grande. If you didn't see it when it came out on Instagram, or if you didn't see it in Ravelry or whatever, that's that. So then what did I do? Then I kind of worked on a hat collection. My idea behind this was that a lot of the thinner weight yarns get quite a lot of patterns designed for them and things like that. And I was actually thinking that sometimes as a new knitter that, well, there were 2 reasons. The one was that to help new knitters for really quick and easy projects with minimal amount of stitches. So if you did something wrong, you didn't feel like you had to pull out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stitches. And then for experienced knitters, for anybody else, it was just really quick projects, really quick, easy projects, using thicker yarn, a gift for yourself, a gift for a friend, that kind of Christmas time when you suddenly, or birthday, and you suddenly realize you haven't got a gift for somebody. And an equivalent kind of gift in sock weight or whatever might take you much longer to knit. Whereas I know some of the hats, some of the testers said they were kind of done in a couple of hours, and that was really nice. You know, you can literally just whiz one off the needles really quickly. So I tried to walk people through, like often people find knitting patterns a little bit intimidating because they're not sure what to do. We use a certain amount of knitting jargon that is kind of hard if you don't really know what it means. So for each pattern, there is a video all the way through the pattern that tells you literally from casting on, techniques for casting on, and then techniques for the hat. There's even knitting in the round techniques, there's purling in the round, how to make sure you don't get ladders in the side of your knitting, choosing needles, choosing yarn, how to pick yarn substitutions. All of these kind of things are included. And so you might be an experienced knitter, but there might be one thing in that hat that you didn't know how to do. So all the videos are divided up into sort of short tutorials. So you'd find the tutorial list on your pattern would list something like the casting on. It would give you 2 options. And then it might say joining in the round. If you didn't need to know, have a video for joining in the round, you don't need to watch that one. Then there might be a video about the specific stitch in the pattern, and that might be helpful. Or maybe you haven't done a German twisted cast on, or you haven't done picking up stitches or whatever it is. So there is a video that helps you through the bit that you need, or through the whole thing if you needed that as well. So it started with this one, which is in Rowan Big Wool. So that's 100% merino, and that's this one here. And all the hats have the name of a sort of gemstone, kind of, not quite just a gemstone, something sort of that sounds fairly interesting. So this one's called Rubies in My Pocket, you know, because we all walk around with tons of rubies in our pocket. I don't know what my brain comes up with these things. Anyway, so this one's called Rubies in My Pocket, maybe because it was just supposed to be like little gems that you learn in knitting, that you kind of put them in your pocket and keep them with you for other times. And perhaps that these amazing skills you learn can just become part of you every day. Like we just every day walk around with gems in our pockets. Because I kind of, you know, especially struggling a little bit with being anxious and being a bit overwhelmed and stuff, the rhythm of knitting, there is a mental health benefit to knitting. There is a lot of research about that, and there is a part of the brain that calms down when we do a repetitive motion, when we keep doing something over and over. It uses up, it kind of draws the attention of that part of our brain that wants to get overly anxious. And that part of our brain, we've kind of got our conscious and our subconscious and our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, and we're not going to get all technical. But sometimes when we use up the attention of that bit of our brain that wants to start worrying and kind of running off on a tangent with itself, if we focus that part of our brain's attention on doing a repetitive motion of knitting and things like that, it actually calms that part of our brain we can't always control consciously. You know, we can know we're feeling a bit silly, being anxious about something, but it's all very fine and well knowing you shouldn't worry about it, and it's very difficult not to worry about it. So, you know, that's perhaps where knitting can help. Yeah, so like little casual gems, but that can really help, I think, for our well-being, our mental well-being. And of course, finishing a project is a huge sense of achievement. And every time we finish something, we create something with our hands, there is a positive reinforcement back to us about, I did something, I made something, you know, I can create. And I think from our very caveman days, I can make and I can create has a huge feedback, positive feedback to us. So this is sparking like two sort of, you know, all in my head kind of thing. Anyway, this is the Rubies in My Pocket. So this is a very simple pattern. So what I've done is I've taught the German twisted cast on, which to me is the very best cast on to do with a hat, because it gives a stretchy edge. And that's what you need in a hat. You need it to be to keep its shape, but yet to be stretchy. Because if you do a too loose cast, then your hat kind of doesn't sit nicely on your head. Or if you do it too tight, you're forever kind of pulling that, and it sits so tight on your head that that's not comfortable. And the rest of the hat is all kind of nice. And so I highly recommend the German twisted cast on, and then there is a video for it, and it does take a little practice. But if you feel like you really can't do that, there is a video for it, a more sort of standard cast on as well, a sort of a knit on cast on. And I talk about the differences that you'd get in finish and things like that with the different cast-ons. And then the pattern shows you either a twisted rib or a normal 1x1 rib. You've got the option for that. So you can learn to do a twisted stitch if you like. I just really like how a twisted rib lies. The kind of the knit column just has so much more definition, I think. This one you'll see doesn't have the twisted rib. And you'll see there's a little bit of a difference between those two ribbings. This stitch column here just kind of stands out a little bit more. Anyway, so you've got options for that. And then this one has this kind of flower stitch along the hat. And that's really simple to do, and there's a video that shows you that as well. If you didn't want to do that, then I tell you just to knit the whole hat. And then there's a video on how to do the decreasing and how to close up the top of your hat. And then you have hat. And some of you will have seen the pictures that Rachel modelled all the hats for me, which was very kind of her, because I know that teenagers don't exactly want to model their mother's hats, but you know, hey, she did very kindly model those for me. And my friend Sharon very kindly took the photos. We tried in the garden and they were like, you know, fairly rubbish. But Sharon came to the rescue and took some really lovely, lovely photos. So I was very pleased about that. So Rubies in My Pocket has instructions for the very bulky weight. This is a super bulky weight yarn. But it also has instructions for a slightly chunky, if you're using a more sort of, there seems to be a lot of confusion about yarn weights, because chunky weight is not actually one that is recognized in America, I don't think. They've got worsted weight and bulky maybe. Chunky is maybe, I guess, bulky, and this is sort of super bulky. But anyway, so this is sort of a slightly less bulky yarn, somewhere thicker than a DK, slightly thicker than an Aran probably. These yarn weights are really confusing. As I've said in the pattern, when I tell you about choosing yarn, look at yardage rather than specifically what the weight the yarn is listed as, because even that can be confusing. So this is just a thinner yarn, and there are stitches if you use stitch counts for using a thinner yarn, and this is just the slouchy version if you wanted to. And of course, either of these you could knit slouchy if you wanted to. So that one, and probably this one is the most beginner one. So that's Rubies in My Pocket. This is called Dream in Sapphire. And this one literally walks you through from the cast on, and then how to knit and how to purl, and then how to knit in the round. And then this just uses knit and purl all the way up. If you didn't want to purl, and if you could also just knit this hat straight up, and then it does the decreases and finishing off and all of that. So this is probably, this one and this one are probably the most simple hats. In this video I don't necessarily show you how to knit. This one would be if you literally needed from the beginning picking up your needles and casting some stitches on. I do the simpler cast on and the German twisted cast on, and I talk you through both of those and the options and what you could do. And then I show you how to knit and how to purl to do this kind of garter stitch rib on the hat there. And this is very nice because this is very unisex. You know, you could make this for, you know, boys, girls, men, women, whatever. And again, you can knit this one slouchy as well. So this one is Dream in Sapphire. So again, little gem. Hopefully, because you can learn something that you can add to your, or you can just make a super quick project for somebody, because this is just knit and purl. Right, so that's that one. Oh, and this is just a hand spun version. Oh, this yarn is, I put all the labels out here. Yes, this yarn is Wool and the Gang, and it's in Green Lagoon, so that's that one. And this one, oopsie, is they don't list what if it's a chunky or whatever, but it is 150 meters and 100 grams. So so that's that one, and that's the one I made out of that. And then this one I made the same hat, but just showing you what it looked like in hand spun. So that's my hand spun version. And this was from, it was gifted to me by Midnight Sheep, who's Helena in Wales, and she spun it. It was called Jupiter. It was part of a South African swap we did that was all about space and planets and kind of, you know, all of that. So this is wool, alpaca, mohair, angora, and sparkle. And the wool is merino, Corriedale, and Romsley lamb's wool. So yeah, how cool is that? So that's my that's my hand spun version that I just knitted another one out of that. And that was, as I say, from Midnight Sheep. And then I did one, because what I said in the introduction was that sometimes we face things in knitting patterns and then we kind of think, well, I can't do that, like lace or cables or something, and then we kind of think that that's above our level. And a lot of them are actually really easy. If you just break it down into what it really is, So I wanted to include something that did have cables and lace and show you exactly how to do that. Cables is just moving stitches around, and lace is just doing yarn overs, making purposeful holes in the right place. And in this one, there's a whole video on fixing mistakes. If you've put a cable in the wrong place, if you've put a yarn over in the wrong place, if you've missed a yarn over, all of those sorts of things. So this one is called Field of Diamonds. I don't know if you can hear the train. That's the train going past. I'll show you the actual pattern. This one is called Field of Diamonds because wouldn't that be nice if we could just go pick up diamonds in a field? Hey, I guess they wouldn't be quite so rare and precious then if we could just go and farm them in a field. This is a very nice peachy colour. It's not showing up a peachy colour at all. Probably back here somewhere. Anyway, the light is a bit bright on it. This is a single diamond repeat from here. So you can see there's the first little one poking out there, and then we have a full diamond over there, and then we have, oh, I keep going the wrong way, and then we've got a full diamond over there. So you can see that's the pattern, and then the crown closes like that. So the pattern is just 11 stitches, and I walk you through every single row what to do, and you know how to check your knitting, how to read your knitting, how to see that you're doing the right thing in the right place, etc., etc. So if it's like the first project you want to try with cables and with lace, this is a really ideal starting point because I will walk you through everything. And again, you have the option which cast on you do, what kind of ribbon you do. And if you wanted to, you could also just follow the numbers for this pattern and not put any pattern in it and just knit straight up as well. That's another option that you've got. This yarn is the Heart Lamb, because there are two of these. Oopsie. This is in Heart Lamb. Try and actually get a bit organized here. Rise and Shine and Peach Melba. So what I did with the second one was I then did the pattern all the way around the hat. So this is if you wanted to have every panel. Sorry, there's a real glare. Let me come back here. If you wanted to, really not quite sure. Let's try somewhere between. I don't want it to get all pixelated, but kind of combat the glare. This has the pattern all the way around, all the way around in the panels, all the way around the hat. And so that just shows you how to do a pattern continuously, how to check after each panel that you have the right number of stitches. And once you can do this, you can do this. And once you can do this, you can do anything. Because any kind of lace pattern, even really complicated ones, they just do the kind of same things repeated in bits, and once you know that you just need to concentrate on make sure that you've got the right thing happening in those 11 stitches, even like here as well with these, make sure you've got the right thing happening in your little group of stitches there. It's fine. You can start creating all sorts of complicated lace things, and as long as you just make sure your repeats, that you've checked your repeat every time, I can't see why you couldn't knit anything. And this is what I said in the videos. I really wanted to, at the end of this, make you feel like you could be a fearless knitter. You could honestly knit anything because it's just breaking it down into the basic techniques: knit, purl, yarn overs, decreases, and things like that. And then if you didn't know the technique, this one, you can go watch the video. But there are so many videos on on YouTube that could show you just about anything. I didn't want you to need to randomly Google this instant. I wanted to make sure that the video for this was so specific to your pattern that you got the exact help that you needed. So that one is Field of Diamonds. And then there was this one. And this one is an interesting yarn. This one is the Vicky Howell Woolpacker. And you see this one's called Chunky. See, there is a... And this is chain plied. This is a really interesting yarn. Let me see if I hold it on the back of the card. In front of my face. You can see there it's chain plied. And that's a really interesting construction of yarn. I haven't knitted with something like that before, so that was quite nice. And this one is doing twisted stitches, which is what I was knitting when I was talking to you earlier over here. And this one's for my sister, actually. She liked the hats. They go skiing quite often, but she likes it to be cream. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm using this yarn actually, which is African Expressions Harmony, and I am holding it with this lace, sparkly lace, that I made a top for her out of. Actually, I made a little I've done so many, you'd think I'd know the name by now. Oh man, that sleeveless top with the little lace fronted. I'll have to put it in the, I can't remember. So I'm holding those two together. So that gives it a little bit of, hopefully that the silver just gives the cream a little bit of definition. You can kind of see a bit of sparkle and a bit of, so it's a zigzag stitch. This stitch is called a rick-rack rib, you know, like that rick-rack stuff that you can use for binding things. Anyway, it's basically a zigzag rib, and it's really easy. It's only a two pattern repeat. So that's what so that was this one that I knitted out of this. This one's called Turquoise Wisdom, and I did that one. And then just to show you that for yarn substitution, sometimes you don't just get one yarn, you sometimes hold something double, or like this one, you can put two different yarns together. This one is Debbie Bliss, and I don't know if I have that label here. This is Debbie Bliss Andes. Anyway, I know it's Debbie Bliss Andes, and it is, I'm almost sure, alpaca and silk. It's very drapey. You can see it's very soft and floppy and drapey. And I didn't have enough to make a big pom-pom, so it's a slightly pitiful pom-pom. Oh gosh, now it looks too dark. Sorry, the light is going up and down today. So this one isn't really quite enough to have a nice big, it should really have a nice big pom-pom, shouldn't it? But it's got a little pom-pom. I'm hopefully going to have enough to make my sister nice. I'm going to ask her. I'm not sure if my sister's the pom-pom type. So you can just see the difference with the silk and stuff in the yarn is that the hat is a lot more slouchy. So that was this one that does twisted stitches. So that's that. Just teaches you knitting sort of into the back and knitting stitches out of order a little bit as well. Tiny bit more fiddly, but not difficult. So that's that one. And then the last one looks much better on. Oh, I haven't sewn that end yet. The last one looks much better on than it does flat. It's more kind of a what do you call them? Like a beret, I guess, than a beanie like these ones. Anyway, this what I wanted to teach in this one was you knit this band on here flat first. So you knit that in a band, and then you do a 3-needle bind off or a Kitchener stitch. Try and see where I joined it. I think I joined it there. So this is a Kitchener stitch for garter, and as you can see, pretty sure that looks like where I joined it. As you can see, you can't see it. It's pretty seamless. You can't really see that. So it's how to do a provisional cast on and how to Kitchener stitch it together. Or you could cast it on normally and cast off normally and sew it together. Or you could do a 3-needle bind off as well. And I give you all those options in the pattern. So that's something new to learn. And then because you knit that way first, like that, and then you pick up stitches. This was to help you learn how to pick up stitches in a specific number of stitches over a certain area, because you don't always have exactly the same little bumps or whatever. You don't always pick up exactly the same number of stitches as rows that you did, and so it's how to divide the work up and how to work out the stitches that you're picking up over an area so you get an even spread of stitches all the way around. And then this one has a feather and fan pattern. So as you can see, you can make this one of those that kind of goes more over to the one side if you like. You can wear it straight. You can wear it with the poofy bit more towards the back. You know, can you see that? I can't really see how much you can. Anyway, it's up, you know, there are various options. This is really to teach you some different techniques of picking up stitches, provisional cast-ons, and on a very small number of stitches. I think that this one uses like 8 to 10 stitches. So to try a provisional cast-on and to try a Kitchener stitch on that small number of stitches maybe feels a little bit less intimidating than on, you know, a big project where you might need to do it. And also picking up, you know, a smaller number of stitches around here is a lot easier. And then this is a simple feather and fan pattern, which is some decreases and some eyelets, which is the yarn overs. And I walk you through how to do that as well in the pattern. And this one is called Tourmaline Galaxy. So it's Tourmaline Galaxy. That one is Turquoise Wisdom. And that's the same as what I'm doing there. This one is the Field of Diamonds. And that one is Rubies in My Pocket. Volume off. And I think, oh, sorry, the last one was Dream in Sapphire. So that should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different patterns. And that makes up the Big Hats collection that is now out on Ravelry. So as I say, if you're an experienced knitter, they are just really quick patterns, really easy to do, interesting stitches, I hope, but nothing too complicated, because if you want to really, if you're in a rush to do a present, you don't want to be faffing with too much of a complicated pattern. And then if you are a new knitter, hopefully it will really walk you through from beginning to end. And I'm always available to help you in any way you need on that pattern. I've said, you know, email me, whatever, and I will help as much as I can. So I hope that you enjoy those tutorials as much as I enjoyed making them. I do enjoy teaching. I'm not brave enough yet to go and teach in a teacher class or teach at a yarn shop or whatever, but I thought I could do it behind a camera, so that's what I did. I hope that you try them out. I hope that you enjoy them, and really let me know what you think of the videos. The videos are not professionally filmed in the sense that I have my normal camera and I've kind of got it balanced and I'm working around the thing. So it's not a big studio setup, but I didn't really want that to stop me from being able to share some of the knowledge that I have with you. And really I wanted to decode the patterns. I wanted the videos to go step by step through some of the things that might be a bit tricky. You know, when wording on repeating things and putting stitch markers in, and what things say when it, you know, what it means when the pattern says this, and what do you do when it's, you know, all of those kind of things, repeating things or stars in patterns and all of that can be a bit confusing. I wanted to kind of demystify that really. So that's the Big Hats collection on Ravelry. So moving on, what else have I done? So I've got this hat that I'm busy knitting for my sister. I have knitted a few things for my, taking part in the mini skeins yarn advent swap thingy. And so I need to send my box off actually, and I have made a few things for that, and so I can't show you those yet, but as soon as my partner has all of those, I will take photos and then I'll show you kind of retrospectively what I have included in there. I finished this. This is my, this is the Find Your, no, it's not called Find Your Fade. Find Your Fade is the shawl. My brain's not working. Not Free Your Fade, that's another shawl. So Faded, the So Faded sweater. That's this one here. Oh, and I finished something else. I must go and fetch. I helped Rachel finish a hat for a friend of hers, and I put pictures of that on Instagram because, yeah, I helped her with the ribbing, and then all week nagged her to say, you need to knit, actually 2 weeks ahead, you need to knit, and then of course right at crunch time she had run out of time to finish the hat. So I finished that for her. So I finished the sock head hat for Rachel. I finished Rachel's kitty vertebrae, and I knitted another hat out of just a plain black yarn. And I had left that tag out, and of course now I've packed it away with all the others. It was an Australian yarn that my sister gave me. Not that one. This one? Yeah. I knitted, it's a plain black hat. And I have the rest of the yarn here somewhere. Her teenage son wanted a very plain hat, so it wasn't very exciting, which is a plain black hat. I had to fight the urge to put different colors into it and to put a pattern on or whatever, but he actually appreciated being plain. So that was this pure wool 8-ply, which I think is a DK, and that's Australian wool. And this was called, is it Vera Moda? So it was that, and it was out of this. And I don't know if I have a picture of the finished hat. I did have a picture on Ravelry of it sort of halfway. So that was very plain ribbing stocking stitch hat. Really, that was that. So I've gifted that already, Rachel's hat. I'm just going to find the kitty vertebrae that I was doing. And then this is the Skipping Stones hat, pattern of mine. And one of my friends quite liked, or I know really wanted a hat, and so I said to her which one did she want and that I would knit something for her. So I had a ball of the Baobab yarn left over. This is both the little baby sweater that I made by the same name, the Baobab baby sweater. And also I made the Savannah cowl out of this as well, and I had one ball left. So I am making her the Skipping Stones hat out of this Savannah colorway. As I say, the color's a bit off today, but that's going to look like that. And this is an MCN based merino cashmere nylon, so the cashmere in this of course is lovely. And I've just started the little cables up there, the sort of Skipping Stones cables. Again, this is quite an easy hat because it's got a nice broad brim here, but the cable pattern only goes up one sort of section, and it's not difficult. Well, I lie really. It's a kind of a 2-needle cable. You put 2 stitches on and go one way, and you put 2 stitches on another cable needle. So you need 2 cable needles for it. But it's not actually difficult. Sometimes a little bit fiddly, but it's not actually difficult. But I really like this hat. I wore this one out the woods the other day with the children. Where's the pattern? This side? No, it's very hard to remember which way you're going on a camera. So there, that's my Skipping Stones hat, and that's what I'm knitting over there out of this heart lamb. Sorry, this was a heart lamb Baobab, and that's what I'm making from that. And then these are a bit embarrassing. There should be another bag. Yes, there is. These are all unfinished sock projects. The first one, I have a sock, is the Mustache Perfect sock, the self-striping one, the OCD, where you get 2 halves that are exactly the same. And this is by Mustache Yarns, and in the Kama Sutra colorway that Sally Wool Diaries gave me. See, self-striping. Oops. Oh dear. Kama Sutra. Good. And you get 20 even stripes. So I did manage to get 2 full repeats of color. I was trying the square toe, the kind of boxy toe pattern, just for something a bit different on a toe. I quite like it. So you do your increases along here rather than along the edge. I'm not sure how it feels in a shoe yet. I haven't worn that yet. And then I did the I didn't want to interrupt the stripes, you see, so I had a bit of a problem because I didn't also want to do the afterthought heel. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I increased up stitches here because I have not been doing that. I've been lazy. I've got a high arch, and I have a few socks at the moment that are very tight that aren't fitting properly. So I actually stopped being lazy and I increased up and then put the Fish Lips Kiss heel in. But I put the Fish Lips Kiss heel in with the other side, with the side of the other skein. So I know I've got enough, but I used the other side of the other skein so that I didn't interrupt the color pattern along here. So you can see it starts with this purple, and that purple kind of almost sort of that little tiny bit of this purple goes up to there, and then that again, and then you can see the last color before that is the blue. So there's one full repeat to that blue, and then another full repeat to that blue over there. So I got 2 full repeats, and that is the Kama Sutra mustache yarn. And I have the other skein, which I haven't balled yet. And that's what's left of my first one. So I can use this little bit on the heel of the next one because I used a little bit of this one for the heel of this one. So that's how that is. So I need to ball that and then knit these ones. Yeah. I knitted these together with Sally Wool Diaries in, I think it was October. I think these were supposed to be like October socks. And, or maybe even, was it before? Was it September? And she's, of course, long finished. And yeah, I got second sock syndrome, which I don't normally get, but I did. Then this is my socks that I knitted on the aeroplane. Embarrassing. But these, I don't actually think I think why I put these in the naughty corner was I don't think I actually went up at the heel. I didn't go up a needle size at the heel. And so these are very tight over my foot. And what I really just need to do is frog back to here because, I mean, it's no good having a sock you're not going to wear. And this is in the Opal Sally colorway. And I got Wool Diaries and myself, Sally and Sally, the Sally sock yarn. And so I want to wear it. So I need to frog that back. That's kind of why I got stuck on that one. Because I need to frog that one back. And I should just do it because, you know, can't wear a sock that's in a bag. And then this one was from my birthday. Sally, Wool Diaries, gave me a sock blank. And I hadn't knitted from a sock blank before. And I was really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. It's a lovely pattern. It's called the, but I think my problem is that to me, socks are always mindless knitting. So when I go out, I take them with me because then I don't have to concentrate. I can just kind of knit round and round and round and round. But this one is a little bit more complicated. And especially once you've done the heel. It was a very nice heel. I have high hopes for this heel fitting well. It was a, you know, heel flap and gusset kind of heel. A nice big roomy heel, which should be good. And the pattern is, of course, only up the one side. And then when you start joining it in the round again, you need to do other things with the pattern. And I've got to a bit where I need to do the sort of pointy bit, you know, where it's going to join like that between the two sides, you know, where it goes up the one side and down the other side. And I need to sit and read the pattern. Ridiculous. I need to read the pattern. I need to just do it without the TV on, and I can't do it while I'm out. So I needed to do it at a time that it was quiet and I could concentrate. And my brain really has not really allowed for quiet and concentrating at the moment. Anyway, so this is my sock yarn blank. And this was one that I got for my birthday from Sally Wool Diaries, and it was from Yorkshire Dales Yarn by Homespun Wonders. Oh, there we go, that showed, there we are. And so I just really need to take some time to concentrate on that one. So concentrating hasn't been my strong point at the moment. The one I needed to wind the yarn, it's a ridiculous excuse, the one I needed to concentrate, and the other one I need to frog. So hopefully I have some excuse for having 3 unfinished sock projects. A bit ridiculous, isn't it? But I just didn't have the mental ability to think about it. But I will. I will finish them. I like all of them, and I really would like to finish them. So what I have done during my moments of not wanting to think, but also just kind of wanting to knit something in front of the TV, and also in getting the mini skein swap, really, I wanted to often check that I already put that yarn in my blanket and then have one to put in my mini skein swap. I got out my sock yarn blanket. Oopsie, there we go. And I was over here somewhere. This way around, I wasn't that far. I was about here somewhere. I was doing these 2 rows so that I could do a big one there. And then from there, I went on and did these. So over the last couple of weeks, I think I've probably added, I know I did, that must have been about here. So I think I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a big one. 7, 8, 9, 10. Sally doesn't like me counting the big ones as more than one. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So I've kind of done 22 of these over the last couple of weeks because it's been kind of a bit mindless. I could just sit in front of the TV and do that. And I'm really enjoying it. Mine's only 16 squares wide. And I think I'm going to need to make it bigger than that. So the next thing I might actually do, because once I've finished that little square there, I will have made it, you know, the row will be complete. So I will have done 14 by 16. And then I might start adding on. I think I should probably go to about 20 or 25 to make that a bit bigger. At the moment, it's kind of knee rug size. So I'm actually quite enjoying this again. I want to do something for Advent, you know, where you do the one a day for Advent. So I'm hoping to do that. But I think that probably before I start it for Advent, what I really should do, see, this part's fine. Look, I tidied away all those ends. And then there is just an explosion of ends that I haven't woven in. So that's also pretty mindless. I don't need to think a lot about that. It's just not quite as satisfying or rewarding sewing in all these ends. So I've got all that to sew in. So I'll do that hopefully before we start adding the Advent square. So I've just got this one little one here to finish, and then that is my Advent blanket or my mini skein blanket. So the only thing I've got left to show you, it's a pitiful amount of knitting for like 5 months or something, is the kitty vertebrae. So let me get that quickly. Right, Rachel's kitty vertebrae, which is out of the Norro sock yarn, which is a wool and nylon blend. So, and then I did decided to edge it in a different color because I didn't want the stripes then going up this way, and because she had grown significantly by then. This originally had ended with the ribbing was in the same yarn, but it was just, you know, to there, and she's taller now than she was. So I actually pulled that ribbing back and then knitted that plain and then put the grey on the edge of that. And then I picked up also, you know, did the sleeves and put the grey on the end there. And it matches quite well. Even though they're slightly thicker colour bands, the body and the sleeves end in the same colour. So they end in that kind of peachy. Sorry, the light is really... Sorry, it's very either too dark or too glare. There's like a tad much natural light. What I need is kind of one of those lights that gives you artificial light, but not those flickering ones. Anyway, so that's the Rachel's kitty vertebrae, which I then just edged with a plain grey sock yarn. This one is obviously more plied because the Norro is almost kind of thick and thin in parts. Some of it goes quite thick, and like you can see there, it has some bits that are quite... Oh, you can't see it all because it's glaring like anything. It has some kind of chunkier bits in it like that. And it's very lightly, almost lightly twisted, sort of lightly plied together. And this one is a bit more plied, but it's the same composition. You know, they're both wool and nylon, so I don't think they'll do too badly together. So this is her kitty vertebrae that I finally finished for her. You know, being an open cardigan, it's probably a bit cold now to wear it, but we'll see. I'm not sure if she'll ever actually wear it. You never know with teenagers. But I did finish it, so at least it's finished. And that probably is everything I made, as I say, except for the Advent swap stuff, which I can't really show you. So I hope that it has been good to, you know, watch the podcast again. And for those that have come back after such a long, me, you know, being gone for such a long time, I thank you very much, because I know there's probably a lot of people that sort of lost patience and aren't really interested if I've taken this long to record again. So thank you for those that have kind of stuck with me. And I will try to do this a bit more frequently. I'm not going to try for every week. I can't manage that yet. But maybe every 2 weeks or at least once a month, I'll make sure I try to kind of touch sides with you guys. So let me know what you've been doing, what you're knitting, what your Christmas knitting is. Maybe next week we can talk, or next time we can talk a bit more about Christmas knitting. I'm doing a little bit, not much. I'm doing a little bit. So have a great week, and hopefully I'll chat to you again soon. Bye.